Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder, to the Type 16 double feature with a little bit of a special compilation in the middle after this initial gameplay on the Measurement line, where I shall demonstrate the major advantage right now, and that is the mobility. It is a wheeled tank destroyer for the Japanese of battle rating 9.3, and well, it is best to be used on the road, because then the mobility actually comes to shine, and this is with a top speed of 100 kilometers per hour. If the vehicle resembles a very similar appearance to the Centauro Roma for the Italians, unsurprisingly, well, that is the case because it looks very similar. It also has 8 wheels, and it also performs very best at roads or on roads. And look at the speed. This is really fantastic, where I love the vehicle. Already it gives away the best performance on, well, wide open maps with roads, folder gaps, measurement line, etc. And even on Kursk you can make this thing work. It doesn't really like close quarters engagements all that well because of it being a wheeled tank destroyer. The acceleration, especially on medium terrain and in particular on mud, is not the greatest. In fact, I think that tanks have then many advantages when it comes to maneuverability, but it depends on your personal preference. When it comes to then the armor, well, the tank has actually some. You shouldn't rely on it, but from the front the turret is heavily angled. We have some composite side skirts, we have some composite side skirts on the lower hub, on the lower front, and also the upper plate is very well angled, but it is relatively thin. You shouldn't really rely on it. There are many shot traps, the gun breech is not really that protected, and it is just best used as an ambush predator, as a long-range sniper for sides of enemy main battle tanks, and this shall be demonstrated here on the T72M, no, A, and also a T44-100. Sorry about this. And you could see already the beauty. With the mobility, you go to places where the enemy doesn't really expect you, and then you have to deal with the firepower. When it comes to the firepower, it's good news and bad news. First of all, the tank has gladly a stabilizer and also a very good turret traverse speed of 30 degrees per second. When it comes to the gun elevation and depression, we'll have to look at -6 degrees and +15 degrees, so there are limitations. But I think when you handle this vehicle well, you can overcome this. And 6 degrees is not the end of the world. It's not good, but it's not the end of the world. And yeah, then we have 6.7 seconds reload on this 105mm JSW cannon, which is for all intents and purposes an L7. Then it comes to the ammunition and the stock grind. Well, the stock shell is the M735 with 360mm of penetration, which is, you know, that's perfectly fine. We also have a hash round and we have a heat round as a tier 1 and tier 2 upgrade respectively. Tier 3 upgrade is a smoke shell, which might come in handy at some point, but not really worth talking about that much. And then the Type 93 APFSDs with 405mm of penetration, 1500 meters per second mass velocity, positive normalization as a tier 4 upgrade, which is the one that I used today. So yeah, the firepower is cool, the handling is cool, the mobility is different, but also shines under certain circumstances. The armor is something that you should not rely on, despite you having some composite armor, and the vehicle is not really susceptible to hull break at the moment, but still, don't get hit. Don't get hit. Everybody snipes your gun breech anyway, or your gun barrel, so you're already full in the high tier meta. There is one positive difference though, and that is that you have as many up tiers as you see down tiers. So with this you actually can and will fight alongside 8.3 and 8.7s, but you also get regularly up tiered into top tier. As long as it is like a 50-50 ratio, I think that's perfectly fine, and I think it's worth mentioning. So at least that was my experience. The one thing that I really miss on this tank though, which would perfectly fit its playstyle thanks to its mobility, is that it is not classified as a light tank, and therefore it lacks the scouting ability, which I really would love on this tank. But hey, it's a tank destroyer, oh well. So yeah, how do I like it? Well, I actually like it a lot. Excuse for that shot. I was not really fit when I played this battle. Nevertheless, I wanted to show you the beauty of open maps, of just driving around and having some fun. I could probably play it better. I could probably play better in conjunction with my team, but this is just how it went. So, is it all good news? Is this tank already completely worth going for it? Well, obviously, it depends on your preference, on your playstyle. One big drawback is, though, that there is a big battle rating gap within the Japanese tech tree, so you have a hard time actually bringing together a perfect lineup, since after the Type 74 and the premium version with battle rating of 8.7, there is nothing to play together with the Type 16, although the Type 89 and the Type 87 SPA are not really that depending on the battle rating, but with 9.3 you have then to bring those tanks into the same meta as well. And while this tank is a good addition to the Type 90 lineup, if you will, it is not enough, but it is the first step. There is another massive problem that I tried to avoid, especially in the beginning of this patch, hence why you didn't see that many tank videos in the beginning of the patch. And how should I say it? That problem is the very old problem that I hated since the very beginning, since they were added, and that is helicopters. So before we come to the last gameplay, where I think I played pretty well, let's just insert here this little part. Helicopters are absolutely stupid in my opinion. Helicopters could be a nice addition to the game if they would have their own gameplay, if they would have their own game mode, to be a bit more precise, and if they would be implemented in a somewhat reasonable way. Then I would say, okay, but the way that they are currently implemented, a good portion of them, is highly abusive and stupid, absolutely stupid, and punishing for players like me that try to make a play in a tank. A non-boring camping playstyle, but rather a playstyle where you move, where you try to flank the enemy. You are then a priority target to a helicopter, and there is nothing that you can do if the helicopter is played correctly. And the other thing is that if the enemy team spawns then helicopters, your team needs to spawn SPA, radar guided, etc., which adds to a big problem. It's less and less about tanks, it's more and more about helicopters and a counter to helicopter rather than actual skill-based gameplay. And I absolutely hate this. It punishes so many gameplay aspects in War Thunder, like moving, trying to flank, trying to make a gameplay, trying to support your team, and trying to play a tank. It gets punished. And it's not just the Americans now. No, it's also excessively more so the German and also the Soviet helicopters. And that is absolutely brain dead. It is so frustrating. And yes, this is a little bit of a rant. Fuck you, helicopter. I absolutely despise this, that they can be played from the very beginning and then both teams are distracted, not playing around the objective, but rather to deal with the helicopters instead of going for the objective and try to engage other tanks. Gaijin needs to give them their own realistic battle game mode, and it needs to be made fun and rewarding. None of those aspects have been fulfilled. It's a complete gameplay design disaster failure. It's a complete disaster. Shame on you, Gaijin. Whoever made this decision, shame on you. This ruins the fun for so many people. People in my comment sections go absolutely wild. They don't like this, and I absolutely agree with them. It is an absolute disaster. And for me personally, it takes so long to get decent footage that gets not ruined by a helicopter. It takes so many battles to actually find one where helicopters aren't flying around from the very start, where helicopters don't ruin your day. And even if I manage to get this footage, then it's not representative, because your experience then will be the one where helicopters are flying around and ruin your day, and then you say that the tank is shit. But the tank itself is actually pretty cool and fun and good. It performs very well on certain maps, doesn't really perform all that well on other maps, and that is perfectly fine, right? But the problem is, again, the all-removing factor is helicopters. That is absolutely stupid. So many tanks at high tier suffer from this, and it takes ages to research them and to get the civil lines to buy them, to put them in the crew, and also buy the mandatory expert qualification. At least that's my opinion. And then also to endure the stock grind. And that's not all. Your entire fund gets raped by helicopters flying around. And it is just perfectly designed for all the trolls on the internet that just go out of their way, buy either a premium helicopter just to shit on people. That is disgusting. That is absolutely brutal. We already have so many problems in War Thunder, and Gaijin has not learned their lesson. And it is such a good evidence of them not playing their own game. Whatever they say, yeah, they might play the game at battle rating 3.3, Panzer IV versus T-34 versus Shermans, etc., where it is fun, where the game is alright, where the game just shows how good it could be. But on top tiers, they just don't touch this. I am absolutely convinced, and it shows in the gameplay decisions, in the gameplay experience, match after match. Okay, that was overdue. You have no idea how many rants I held back, or how many rants I deleted, where I then made a little bit of a commentary on a side note, well, this might be annoying. But this is just the harsh reality. Game after game after game after game after game. Helicopters here, helicopters there. Half your team is then very much dead at the start. It is so imbalanced. It is just so brain dead, and it's just so facepalm worthy. And I just lack the English vocabulary to put this into words. It's at the end just made to make me want to stop play that game at this battle rating, and I have no intention to pay for a premium. However, you know what? Let's end this rant and let's get into a final gameplay where I can show you how the tank performs best. And so here we are on the Battle for the Hürten Forest Conquest map, and again I want to show you the one-on-one of practically light tank gameplay. Now, yes, this is a tank destroyer, but it has the mobility of a light tank, and it has a turret. In fact, I played like a high tier Hellcat, if you will. And again, the one thing that I really personally miss is the scouting ability. I would love this to be a light tank with the ability to help my teammates repair and to also scout, so to bring a bit more variety to high tier gameplay. And in fact, I think when it comes to the stock grind, this is actually a nice experience. The vehicle itself is actually pretty cheap to run, with only 6,000 civil line repair cost, fully upgraded that is. And also the stock grind when it comes to the firepower is absolutely nice. 360 millimeters of penetration on a stock APFSTS with some backup heat FS and also hash rounds, and an even better performing top tier shell that is nice to have, but it's not mandatory. I think this is a good design choice. Not so good is here overall the map design, etc., and how you can abuse it. And what you're about to see is where I quench enemy reinforcements and flanking attempts very early on, which is highly efficient. And it shows how this vehicle, like so many other very mobile tanks, can punish a team that is not securing their flanks, either because they are not willing to do so and only focusing on the one objective, or they're just not having the tanks in the tech tree, or are not bringing them to the battle. And yeah, that's just how it is. So first customer of the day is here this T-80B. Nice side shot, very nice one shot. Just satisfying, right? So I'm looking around, and initially I don't see anything, and I observe here my surrounding, including the minimap. I listen also for enemy engines, because while you cannot always hear something, sometimes you can hear what you don't see, and sometimes you see what you don't hear. And that is why I spotted those two guys with the markers on the minimap, and then took an educational guess shot, and it was rewarded with yet another kill. 2 kills, and I think that I can help here my team, as I said. So we're moving forward, and we see the first enemy tank. Again, here on the side I spot the marker, and again I'm looking out here for enemy tanks to shoot in the side or to at least cripple. Even if you don't finish a tank, the amount of repair time and the amount of crew loss takes, well, it's adapted to the reality, really. And again, I prepared a quick ambush for this guy, and again, a very nice side shot resulted in a one shot. So I'm constantly relocating here forth and back around this building. That's not the most dramatic playstyle, but it is effective, and it is what it comes down to with this tank. The initial quick relocation, the initial quick decisive positioning is one key aspect. Another one is learning the gun, and then you can pull off shots like these on a regular basis. It is really smooth and satisfying. And well, we have another helicopter. How nice is that? So hiding behind the building. Can we get a shot on this guy? Well, that was me just misaiming here. I could have gotten this kill. Again, as I said, if you get used to the gun. Yeah, but then Leo 2A5 removed the helicopter, which is always nice. Honestly, I don't know what is so cool about flying helicopters, because either you bullshit somebody or you get bullshitted, and nothing is really desirable. I think it's, well, I already said enough. Okay, let's focus on the task at hand. Remove enemy tanks. Where are they? What they are doing? We have killed already quite a few of them. So, oh, there is a customer. And he's still in spawn protection. Again, it's evident that the devs are not playing their game. And if they do, it's only battle rating 3.3, T-34 versus Sherman versus Panzer IV, F2, etc. Where, you know, the majority of gameplay experience is actually pretty nice. This high tier stuff, I am convinced they are not touching it. And if they are actually playing it, and they think that this is okay, that this is just how it should be, oof, oof. So, yeah, helicopters, spawn points, stock grind for many vehicles, balance between the nations. I'm not really convinced. So here we got trolled by the fuel tank of a French tank, looks like an AMX-30 Brennus. And there is another tank around. Can we get a shot at this guy? Come on. Well, that's number one. That was a good disabling shot. Gun breach, etc. He's on fire. We have time to reload and claim our 6th kill, which is really, really nice. So, in fact, this was the most successful battles when it comes to pure kills. The most awesome gameplay I showed you at the very start. That was when I, well, had this flanking opportunity and make the speed work. And this is actually now me coming to the end of the match. And one final shot, and we survived it. Survivor award with 1 kill assist and 6 kills and 1530 score points. So that was the best result so far for the day. A really fun tank if you get on a nice wide open map where you are on the road and can make your speed work. 36,000 silver lines and 4,264 vehicle research points or modification research points, 30 in team because I didn't use an aircraft and I didn't get all that much action in aside from the kills. Yeah, a nice tank. I love it like I love all my wheeled tanks in War Thunder, and that is the Type 16 for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a like if it did, subscribe if you want to see more, and we'll see each other on the waves, in the skies, and on the battlefields of War Thunder.